Okay. Welcome back to Nicholas Comic Corner Classic Lesson on Classics. This is episode number 2937 and Doubleshot number 2831. I have two books that are not Marvel DC. One is published by Image via Skybound via Image. The other is published from Black Label via DC. But the only books in comic are written by really good writers. First we have is Duke, Volume 1. Knowing is half the battle. This contains basically Duke, the 5-issue book for this one, along with material from Energon Universe 2024 Special. Written by Joshua Williamson, art by Tom Ridley. Yeah. Now, this book is a way different thing on G.I. Joe. Where you have Duke, who leads people in battle, and he's like basically like first man in action, and then apparently he's basically being like basically he's being almost nearly kicked out of the military, and all because he says he saw something that nobody believes him. What does he see? He sees Starscream. Yes, Starscream. He saw Starscream, and like no one is buying what he's saying. So, of course, General Hawk is like, nah, basically, like, you're compromised. Let's throw you away. Because he doesn't believe him. And me with this Dr. Adel Burkhart, who basically, well, thinks that there's something else going on. Meanwhile, at Mars Industries, which I'm sure this is set up for the Deathstroke miniseries, which, of course, also the writer Josh Williams also do a Cobra Commander book. And we see that there's stuff being built here. Looks like a version of one of the Cobra bases. They don't call it Cobra, but yeah. And then, of course, he's confronted by an employee of, well, Mars Industries. And, like, you built it. Yeah, then he's brought before Destro. Yeah. And then, of course, he goes back to the people he was working with, and they all got killed. All because, basically, somebody found it. And then police show up, and he has his hands up, and they think he's got a gun, so they shoot at him. Now, I get the fact it's kind of dark, but yeah, I think these police are basically crooked. He's wounded, and of course, then. And of course, oh yeah, they declare him called Rogue. And of course, mentioned Stalker, Rock and Roll, to people who commonly associate with G.I. Joe. Oh, by the way, they keep calling Duke by his real name, which is Colin Hauser. Which, yeah, that's definitely true. And then we have this guy called Lance Steiber. Basically, who is like an old, basically his Clutch, who's an old friend of Duke's. And then we have this lady. He apparently doesn't remember her name, so she just walks out on him, and I have to help him out. And then Destro is sitting in his chair, he just like, And of course, basically shoots some stuff up. And of course, like, don't take orders anymore from this one guy who wants to arrest him for. Now I'm thinking, like, okay, what exactly is he being charged with? Yeah, they don't really say. And, well, for some reason, they decided to throw him into the Pit. Which, in the main continuity for G.I. Joe, in many continuities, the Pit is one of the like, two headquarters of G.I. Joe. And here, it's basically a prison. And of course, well, he doesn't know who he is. And apparently, not only is Clutch there, but also the Baroness. Yes, the Baroness is here. Which, I don't know if Williamson's taking the idea of Baroness associated with Duke. Like, maybe take inspiration from the live-action movie. It's maybe. The Mars Industry thing, I think that's also from the movies as well, because I don't remember that in the original continuity very much. Like in the original comic, I don't remember Mars Industries, Destro's company, being featured there, because I remember this company being heavily featured in the G.I. Joe movie. I'm sure it takes some ideas, and of course they shut it down. And of course, Barry's like, "Hi, you want to help out?" And of course, yeah, apparently there's also a bounty in his head. So she reveals her backstory, which is from basically like an aristocrat. And, well, the thing is, I believe in most continuity she's basically a widow. Here they don't really say. They just here's just a code name. Of course, like, doesn't give up, and of course, basically like classified, aka, well, because she's not military, she can't tell about the fact he saw Starscream. And then Major Sebastian Blood shows up. Yes, he shows up to the pit. Which, of course, basically, Baroness like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, by the way, she's up shooting him, like, basically about one of his eyes. Like, yeah, but he's still alive. It's like, you got his bounty on your head. And then we have more people show up from the U.S. military, not G.I. Joe. And it's like, oh, back away from Duke. Hey, Stalker, excuse me. Yep. So it's like, she owes me an eye. And then they take some of the equipment from the base, which, of course, they use on them. And then, of course, Destro's like, blow it. And they attempt to blow up, basically, the pit, but once the mountains are on. Yeah. Like, then he ends up basically one of the transports, and then he's confronted by a robot who is one of the, Cobra robots. I think they're the bats, they're called. Yes, they're called bats. And, like, everyone's wondering, where's Duke? Yep. And this is where he meets Destro, which, this design here, with the exception of the mask, it's like, okay, is the suit reminiscent of the actor who played him in the movie? Because this reminds me a lot of Eccleston's suit from the G.I. Joe movie. So yeah, he basically knocks out Destro. He still attempts to punch the bat, but doesn't work. Bat, he takes over his hand the former basically where it's a flamethrower underneath. Yeah, it's a freaking flamethrower. Yep. And of course, News gets hold of it, and then of course, like, Hawk basically now think he's not ready, and then eventually he is kind of ready. Like, apparently found a whole bunch of on Mars, and of course then they just basically reopen the pit. Yep, the pit reopened it. They basically make it their official base, and then they have an image of like, oh, somebody built this truck, aka Optimus Prime. And then we lead into this material book, which is the epilogue, which apparently Duke wants to recruit the Baroness for G.I. Joe. Yep. I mean, these people are trying to stop him, which of course, and then she joins G.I. Joe, which that is actually quite original because the Baroness has never been interested in joining G.I. Joe. She's always been with Cobra. She's generally been portrayed as Destro's lover. Yeah, and of course, the other people include Scarlet. This stuff with the Dreadnoughts, which is Zartan's team. And then, of course, to attack the revealed to be Colonel Flint and Lady J. And for this, oh yeah, they're going to make one more team. It's Flint. Now, what's his other team? Don't know. I highly doubt it's Cobra. I highly doubt it is that because I don't think Williamson is trying to set up Cobra, him to be basically forming the organization Cobra, but who knows. But great book. I give this book basically a 10 out of 10. Yep. A lot of fun. Next up we have is, American Vampire 1976. Written by the creators of, well, two of the three creators for American Vampire, Scott Snyder and Ralph Albuquerque. The other creator was Stephen King, who did the opening story for the original ongoing for American Vampire. This is more like a finale for American Vampire. It's 12 issues. It's basically the main character trying to die in the 70s, and well, it's a lot of adventures for him, and I do recommend checking it out if people are fans of American Vampire or a fan of Scott Snyder. I'm gonna give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. It has still got really good artwork. They're not of course, I recommend keeping on his artwork. We also have where the story Family Trees, which basically everything is by Scott Snyder, obviously. But the story Root, the artwork now is by Tola Colati. The story Trunk is drawn by Francisco Porcovola, and Limb is Lopez Ortiz. But yeah, great book. Yep. And I think this was supposed to be like the finale for all the American Vampire stuff. Maybe so Snyder can basically put the whole thing behind us, possibly the reason for it. But great book overall. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the dislike button. Well, I'll see you all tomorrow, hopefully, for some Metal Heroes, Chain Soldier, Fairy Tail, Case Closed, and hopefully 7 Deadly Sins, Fortnite's Apocalypse. Okay? Good next video. Bye.